Thank you for joining us for another devotion from Honey from the Word. This week's devotion is titled Overcoming Problems or Obstacles. It comes from Joshua chapter 3. So I'll not be reading the entire chapter because of its length, but we'll read various verses as I go through this devotion this morning. So, would everyone listening to my voice who doesn't have a problem, please raise their hand? Well, probably nobody can raise their hand. Whether we like it or not, problems are a fact of life. It's not a matter of if problems come, but when problems will come. So let's define problems and obstacles according to the dictionary. A problem is, first of all, a question raised for inquiry, consideration, or solution. Second is an intricate, unsettled question, a source of perplexity, distress, or vexation, difficulty in understanding or accepting. Obstacles, as defined by the dictionary, are something that stands in the way or opposes, something that is between where you are and where you want to go. Life is filled with problems and obstacles. Some of them will be small, such as maybe a roadblock on the way to work or trying to figure out what to wear for the day. Some will be large, like diseases that keep you from being who and what you want to be and trying to decide which bills you can afford to pay for this month. Consider the following. Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor for a lack of ideas. Walt also went bankrupt several times before he built Disneyland. Booker T. Washington was born in slavery. Thomas Edison was deaf. All of these men faced problems and obstacles that stood between where they were and where they wanted to go. There's also spiritual problems and obstacles as well. Things that hinder us, things that cause us to scratch our head and ask how we are ever going to do that. Things that stand in our way of receiving God's inheritance for us. Why are we not walking in all the promises that the Lord has for us? What excuses are we using as to why we haven't achieved all that God wants us to achieve? We always think that our problem and our obstacles are worse than anybody else's. What about some of the people in the Bible who overcame enormous problems to achieve what God had for them? Consider a flooded river, the Red Sea and the Jordan, being a slave like Joseph, a giant before you that David had to face. Your only son dies like the Shunammite son, and we could go on and on. And yet they overcome each one of these. Some of you have had setbacks and disappointments along the journey. But the time has come for you to enter into your land of promise. The time has come for this church, for every church, to enter into its promised land. So what must we do to overcome our problems or our obstacles? First of all, keep your eyes on God. Notice verse 3. When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priest, the Levites bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. You see, we must keep our eyes on God. When God moved, they were to move. When God stopped, they were to do the same. Every time we get our eyes off of God, our problems seem to magnify. If you ever expect to get past your obstacles and enter your Canaan, you must learn to follow God, to keep your eyes on Him. Prepare your heart. Notice verse 5, it says, sanctify your heart. The Hebrew word is kadesh, to be set apart, consecrated. It was a time of waiting on God, listening to His voice, preparing their hearts. How many of us have missed the opportunity to step into what God has for us because we just weren't prepared in our hearts? Whatever we are separated unto God and walking in holiness and righteousness, no matter what problems or obstacles get in our way, we will be prepared to overcome them. The third thing is listen to God's instruction. Verse 9, and no matter how ridiculous it would sound, verse 9 says, "Come here and hear the words of the Lord your God." And Joshua said, "By this you shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out before you the Canaanite and the Hittites and the Hivites and the Perizzite and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Jebusites, and as I say, all the ites. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of the earth is crossing over before you into the Jordan. Now therefore take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one man from every tribe, and it shall come to pass as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of the Jordan shall be cut off. The waters that come down from upstream, they shall stand as a heap." They had to have faith to put the soles of their feet into the water. And fourth, believe in miracles. Verse 14. So it was when the people set out their camp to cross over the Jordan with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as those who bore the ark came to the Jordan, and the feet of the priest who bore the ark dipped in the edge of the water, that the waters came down from upstream, stood still, and rose in a heap. The water would not part until the priest who were carrying the ark stepped into the water. In other words, it took a step of faith for them. Their miracle wouldn't happen until the priests began to lead in faith. Got any rivers you think are uncrossable? Got any mountains you can't tunnel through? God specializes in things thought impossible. He does the things others cannot do. So how do we overcome our problems and obstacles? By keeping your eyes on God, preparing your heart, listen to God's instruction, and believe in miracles.